Welcome to another episode of Texas Paranormal Investigations.
There's episodes there.
Episodes. We're gonna start with episode
Sounds
3.
like a new pandemic.
And you caught it. Episode 3.2.0 of Texas Paranormal Investigations. I'm here. My name is Teresa, your host, and I'm here with our special guest April Reese, the
I don't know. What am I?
a pain in the butt. The
Extraordinaire.
pain in the butt, ghost hunter extraordinaire. She just doesn't leave ghosts alone.
I don't. I harass
They
them.
just want to sleep, and she keeps waking them up.
I do.
So today we're gonna go a little bit off the ghost subject today, and we're gonna be talking about the mother or the father of all cryptids. We're gonna talk about Bigfoot.
Mother?
Why can't it be a girl?
Wow.
I think there has to be female big feets.
They're Bigfoots.
Big feets.
No, they're not. They're Bigfoots. The plural of Bigfoot is Bigfoots. Google it right now. And tell me.
Aren't you the same person that asked if dinosaurs have paws?
Listen, they're really cute. Land Before Time. They do not look like whatever you think. They don't have claws. They're not like a brontosaurus did not have claws.
No, but they're called dinosaur feet.
I would think paws because they're adorable and round.
You don't know that.
I have literally seen them in the riverbeds of North Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And they're adorable.
You've seen actual dinosaurs, or you've seen the feet?
I saw the feet, and listen.
Feet prints.
They're paw prints.
No, they're not, April.
No, I promise you, they're paw prints. Anyways, go ahead. Tell me what's the multiple for
Bigfoot. Bigfoot's is.
Bigfoots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what about the mother of Bigfoot?
Well, in Mexican, Bigfoot is called Paton.
Or the mother would be the patona.
Patona. No, we're gonna just kind of figure out what our opinions and ideas are about these mysterious Bigfoot or hairy ape man or
Harry and the Hendersons.
That was a very good show that I loved.
I think I wore the tape out till it popped. I don't know why I thought. I mean, that should have been a sign that I was going awry. Because like Harry and the Hendersons, I was like, I wish Mom and Dad would find a Bigfoot.
I always wanted that to happen for myself too. I think that would be a really good and fun, wild and crazy thing that we could make our own TV show out of. All right, so we specifically like to talk about Bigfoot here in Texas. So a couple of things. Do you think that we have Bigfootses here in Texas?
Quit calling them that. Bigfoots.
Big fights?
Of course we do. We have everything in Texas.
Do you think our big feets are better?
They're bigger.
Why is that?
Because everything's bigger in Texas. I think we have some unique names though. Like, have you heard of like Old Mossy Back?
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, isn't that crazy?
Isn't that your uncle?
That's your daddy. No, it sounds like something like Cletus the Slack-jawed Yokel. Like, all the names other than Bigfoot sound like something Cletus, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering because I was doing some research on Mr. Bigfoot, and I came across this guy whose name is Rick Dyer. Mm-hmm. And he lives here in Texas, and he is a very infamous Bigfoot hunter extraordinaire. And he says that on September 6th, 2012, in a wooded area outside of San Antonio, he found a Bigfoot. Now
Mhm.
he's saying that this is the second time that he's actually encountered a Bigfoot, and his big thing was that he was going to uh, show everyone that he said that he shot and killed Bigfoot, and he was
Mhm.
going to take the carcass around so that he could prove to everyone that Bigfoot is real.
Okay.
So, and you can look it up online. The story was actually picked up by San Antonio Living. And if you look online, you can.
Like that's some sort of like majorly credible source.
Well, it's
Wow.
well, just so you know, the two women that were on there before were discussing their scarf choices.
Right,
So,
that's what I'm saying.
you
What
know,
would Harry and the Hendersons' wife like to
Bigfoot,
wear?
hot or not?
Yeah, seriously. Like, why is that the credible scientific source that?
Well, okay, so that's a good point that you bring up. He says that this was not only his first encounter of Bigfoot, but his second encounter. And he blames it on the government because you can see the picture here that, and
Please look this up.
we will post that.
I mean,
Uh,
wow, that should be your thumbnail.
but there is a very good picture of.
I think I've seen that guy pass out like in Bennigan's back in the day. Like I know that guy. That's
Are you
not
talking
Bigfoot.
about the Bigfoot or
No,
Rick
yeah,
Dyer?
the Bigfoot, the
Okay.
Bigfoot. I know him. Like that guy. Yeah, he's just in a fur coat. Like I don't.
Well, so now this is what his story is. He says that he was forced to put out a press release with this particular picture of a very bad looking corpse of Bigfoot so that the world would label him as a hoaxer.
I do believe that kind of stuff happens.
Do you?
I do. Like the government doesn't want us to know.
Why? What are the implications if we knew that Bigfoot existed, just as you know, the government coming out and saying that aliens were real? What is the harm in us knowing that Bigfoot is real and exists?
Because all of our laws, whether we like it or not, go back to the moral standard of the Bible. I'm not getting religious. I'm not talking about anyone's
You
beliefs.
just said Bigfoot is Jesus.
I did. No, so I think Bigfoot would be some sort of link in there that discredits something or adds something or changes something in the structure of what we are taught to believe. And I think that about a lot of that stuff. So if Bigfoot is like this man ape thing, then the government doesn't want us to like prove like evolution. I mean, they know evolution exists from science, but they don't want to be like there's no human element to it like that's been definitive. We have I mean, I guess there is. Do you know what I'm saying though, that it still exists? I don't know how to explain what I'm trying
I
to say.
just don't understand what the reasoning is. I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I just don't
I'm not
understand.
explaining it right. Like somehow in there Bigfoot would mess everything up, and then we wouldn't have mega churches, and we wouldn't have. I mean, just everything.
So Bigfoot's the only thing holding religion together.
It is.
Okay.
Like I feel like somewhere in there, Bigfoot is responsible for things like Bigfoot that like are associated with like there's a humanoid aspect to it that isn't in the Bible. Then it's gonna throw everything into chaos. It's like whenever who was it on The Simpsons? Didn't Homer become a genius and come up with an algorithm or some sort of formula that proved that the Bible was fake? And then Ned had to destroy it because it was going to ruin humanity.
I don't know. I think I stopped watching Simpsons in 1999.
I feel like that would be the same sort of case. Like it would. It's too. Our brain couldn't comprehend it because it's like Adam and Eve and this and that and like the 7 days of creation and nowhere in there is Bigfoot. Nowhere in there is dinosaurs. Nowhere, but I mean, I think they are in there, and we just kind of.
Well, we have yet to discover the dinosaur Bible, so you never know. It could be out there. It could be. So Rick Dyer, has come out saying that this was the government, and he's since done some other stuff regarding his continuing of hunting Bigfoot. And now his new thing is that because he did end up getting a lot of backlash for the idea that he shot and killed Bigfoot, as he
In
said.
Texas?
Yeah, right outside your door.
But why would, I mean, we kill everything.
Yeah,
here.
but I mean, you have a large community of people that, and that's also another big question. If you were a hunter, if you were an avid hunter and you had the opportunity to shoot the most elusive
There's-
quote unquote game, would you kill it?
I don't know, because part of me says yes. Like, my first instinct is to say yes, and I'm gonna get haters, whatever. But it's to say, like, if I'm that much of an avid hunter, then that's like your ultimate game. Why, I don't care about.
No, man is the ultimate
Yeah,
game.
yeah. So, but I would think like,
That's just murder.
yeah. So, but and that's become increasingly easy. But anyways, let's. But I digress. No, I feel like I would, in the sense, like, if I cared about that, like,
Mhm.
if that was my life, But like, me personally, again, my dream would be Harry and the Hendersons. I'd try to stick him in a station wagon. He would maul me to death, but I
Mhm.
would, like, I feel like, or I'd accidentally put the baby one in there
Mhm.
because it's so big, and I
And
would
then the
think it's.
mom would come after you.
Yes, and then it would be that type of movie. It wouldn't be like a Harry and the Hendersons type. It'd be more of like a Jurassic Park where he steals the egg, and then all they don't mean any harm. They just want their baby back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
I like how all Jurassic Parks end with the Tyrannosaurus saving them.
yeah, and at the end somehow the Bigfoot would save me from humanity and my own greed and.
So do you think? So do you think he can be tamed?
Um, we would make it be tamed. I mean, humans are terrible creatures. Of course, we could tame it. We would electrocute it and deny it food and civil liberties.
Man, I never want to go Bigfoot hunting with you. That's awful.
No, I'm saying that's what would happen inevitably if it's ever caught. So I mean,
Why do you think it hasn't been caught yet?
Because it's smarter than the average bear. I don't know. I don't know.
So, a lot of Native Americans believe that Bigfoot is actually a shapeshifter and a spiritual being. What do that's my personal belief.
Okay, so that's interesting because that harkens back to Davy Crockett. You know that we're prairie normal, so this is Tex-centric.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what does Davy Crockett have to do with Texas?
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people don't know, but Davy Crockett actually sighted Bigfoot when he came here with his pals. There was four of them altogether,
Mm-hmm.
and when they crossed over into what was Mexico, they had to take an oath, to live here, and
Mm-hmm.
he's after the cheap land, he's after all the resources, whatever. And coming from Tennessee, well, his brother-in-law and this other cat decide, like, hey, we're not signing this oath because they took oaths so seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and the wording was just not right for them, right? So then,
the oath wording,
yeah, for Davy Crockett was okay, but for his brother-in-law and whatnot, it was not. It was too. I forget what liberty they felt like they were going to have to give up, but either way, they say no, we're not doing that. Okay.
okay.
So then, Davy Crockett and the other guy keep going, and his two homies go back to what is the U.S., right? So somewhere in there, he's walking, and he writes this letter to his brother-in-law about his encounter with Bigfoot. And what's crazy is Davy Crockett says that the creature spoke to him.
What?
Yes, and with the way he described it, it was covered in wild hair with small needling eyes, and he said he had large rows of broken teeth, and it was a height of 3 foundlings. So a foundling's like a child, so you're going to assume about 3 feet. So 3 of them would be about 9 feet. So it's hair. I mean, it describes what we would typically.
Whoa. Okay.
Right. But then he said that monster,
So everything is bigger in Texas.
it is. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Because the average size is 8 feet, and now ours is 9 feet.
Damn.
So then the monster talked to him.
Whoa. You're calling him a monster?
That's what he said in his letter. The monster then addressed a warning to me, is what he said.
He tipped his hat, his cowboy hat.
Yes, and actually the Bigfoot told him to flee, to go. Get out of here. Go back to where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now get
hell. Get.
And then Davy Crockett tried to question him and ask, like, what are you talking about? Why are you telling me to go back? And then he says, Davy Crockett says, that the creature spread upon the wind like the morning stream swirls off a frog pond. So it was like a mist that disappeared, like a spirit. And he just like, maybe it was a spirit.
Wow.
Yeah. So then 6 months later, he died at the Alamo. He should have gone back.
Dang. So now we have Bigfoot as a shapeshifter and a fortune teller.
Yeah, he is.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and throughout history in Texas, I mean, there's been a ton of sightings. It's really, I mean, really.
So
really cool
I do know about the Wild Woman of Navidad. That's another pretty famous case.
Yeah, she's pretty well known, but it actually there was a big controversy in that even back then.
Mm-hmm.
So the Wild Woman of Navidad was what was left of what ranchers thought was a pair
Right.
of Bigfoots. So one male, one female,
Mm-hmm.
and then at some point they were arguing that there was 3.
Now this is back around 1837,
Yeah,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
So, and you know what? The settlers of Navidad.
So this has been going on like a long time. We've been hearing reports of a Bigfoot, hairy man, all kinds of stuff in Texas for centuries.
Yes, and you know what's and here's my thing. Okay, so we're talking about like let's talk about these settlers. Okay, you're looking at like 1836 through 1845. They don't know if it's male or female. They see this thing. They have nothing to compare it to. They don't have the internet. They don't know. Most of these people have never seen any sort of creature other than the typical game that's around here. The they haven't seen wild creatures, so they can't say, oh, they don't size it to any comparison that they have. They're not saying, oh, it's as big as an elephant. They don't even, they've never seen an elephant, in real life. They haven't, that some of them might not even know that they exist, at this time. So, because they're not necessarily educated, communication is rough, sort of thing. So they start seeing these tracks in Navidad. And if you know anything about Navidad, it's like this.
Right.
The Navidad River is like this small river. It doesn't really have much. It's real brushy. So then they start seeing these tracks in the air, and they start thinking like, okay, there's this wild something. They don't know what it is, and whatever it is together. And they see a distinct larger set and a distinct smaller set. So they're like, okay, it has to be male. One has to be female. And they eventually, like over time, this whatever this is. Now, here's what's interesting to me. Goes into the houses.
Right.
Is taking food, but
Right.
only takes half of the food. It doesn't take. So if there's a loaf of bread, it's leaving half.
So there's some sort of sense of this isn't mine. I need to share
Right,
something
there's
like
a
that. Okay.
consciousness to it,
Okay.
right. Okay. So then they kind of do this trap. This one rancher, last name was Rogers. He put out a kind of a trap, and he had baskets with like a shirt and a novel and a Bible and other things from the house. And he noticed when anytime this creature would take from the settlers, it would return it in better condition. So the shirt he had in the basket was intentionally ripped, and when it was returned, it was sewn back better than any.
This adds to more questions. So now Bigfoot can sew.
Listen, Bigfoot can do anything, okay?
Bigfoot is just trying to hone their skills to find a good prairie man.
Yeah, I'm serious. I mean, her Bigfoot man died.
Well, that's true.
So.
But how would she have known to sew clothes if Bigfoot traditionally doesn't wear clothes?
I don't know. The same reason you think ghosts do. I don't know what.
Well,
It's all pointless to me. Clothes are pointless after.
No, that is not true. That's not true. Okay, so going back to this sewing woman, so we found there's actually a book. One of our sources is Texas Bigfoot. His Legends and Modern Encounters in the Lone Star State, written by Lyle Blackburn, a very famous paranormal investigator. In his book, he actually wrote down a particular article by the Daily Sanduskyan in Ohio. It's a newspaper that wrote the following. So if you give me a second, I'll just read this. Mr. Glasscock pursued the wild woman for several days with dogs, and at one time approached so near it as to cast a lasso upon its shoulders. It, however, with great adroitness, eluded the snare and fled to a dense thicket where it could not be traced. Mr. Glasscock states that he was near a small prairie enclosed by the border forests of the river when the creature emerged from the woods and ran across the prairie in full view. It was about 5 feet high, resembling a human being, but covered with hair of reddish-brown color. In its hand it held a stick about 6 feet long, which it flourished from side to side, as if to regulate its motions and aid it when running at full speed. Its head and neck are covered with very long hair, which streamed backward in the wind. It ran with the speed of a deer, and was soon out of sight. The dog pursued it, and came so close upon it at a small creek that it was compelled to drop its stick, which was taken by its pursuers. Several other persons have repeatedly seen the creature, and they all concur in representing it as a human being, but so covered with shaggy hair as to resemble an orangutan. The end.
Okay, so our wild woman of Navidad is the same thing. So they concluded that it was they possibly a runaway slave, because unfortunately at that time here we did
okay.
have slavery.
Right.
So it would make sense that it would be a skilled worker,
Okay.
highly skilled in sewing and handicraft. And the three, because then they concluded there was three, like a small child. They kept finding these these tracks and then whatnot. So around 1850, fresh tracks were found again in the snow in the same area of Navidad.
Mm-hmm.
And the hunters, obviously avid hunters, put hounds on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
And the wild being was forced to climb a tree. So looking down on its pursuers,
Okay.
was actually a runaway African male. And he was so frightened he wouldn't come down. And then the men had to come climb the tree and, of course, grab him by force.
That's terrible.
I know. The story is said that the wild man, because there was still slavery, had been sold to slave traders by his parents and was shipped to this country. So there was a passing sailor in the area at the time that understood his language. And he explained that his companion had perished at some point and he was all alone. So that would explain the footprints and non-footprints and whatnot. So unfortunately, since this was Texas at the time, Navidad, the Sandys Creek, slavery still existed. And after his capture, the wild man was sold at a public auction. So, but after he was the abolishment,
I'm not trying to be funny. Did they get was God, it sounds horrible, as selling an enslaved person is so terrible. Was that a point of how do I put this? Did that add any more to? Well, I mean, was that like a selling point? I guess I should say. Well, as horrible as that sounds.
I don't know. I don't know if that. I think it eased the minds of the settlers that this, and unfortunately to them too, and at the time, this man that had survived this horrendous shipwreck and was, him and his partner, his companion, possibly a child, and he never gave everybody up. So they just kind of agreed.
Oh my God.
I know. And they kind of just agreed that he was, and I'm saying this in the way of the thinking of back then.
Right.
So this is not anything, obviously, what I think, that he was wild enough to be considered a monster of the forest and, whatnot, when really he was just trying to survive.
Right.
But after slavery was abolished in Texas, which we know took 2 years after everybody else, he came back out, and he stayed in the area, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, he stayed in the area.
I would want to get the hell as far away from this place
Yeah,
as I
for real.
could.
And then the wild woman was never heard of, and the legend of her existence passed into history.
Wow.
Just like that. So I don't know. He never said. He said he had a companion. Never said if it was male or female. Never fed into any of their questions or anything like that. And I guess he kind of is the reason that the story remains to this day, just because it was neither confirmed nor denied that he
Yeah.
could have been living amongst the Bigfoot.
Well, and there were some other stories that I read that like 20 years later after the story of the wild woman of Navidad, there was another report coming from around the Austin area of an immense, they called it what they had called an immense orangutan near Gatesville, which is north of Austin.
Yeah.
Um, Again, being a 7 foot high, covered from head to toe with hair, red hair. And I don't think anything actually ever came of that. They did a hunting party, but there's not actually a lot of details whether or not it was a successful hunting party or anything like that. And another report in 1875 about a wild boy who was caught by men near San Marcos. But I think that was kind of, they said that he was a wild boy covered with hair about 4 inches long. But nothing ever really came of that. That was kind of all that they had really said in regards to quote unquote Bigfoot's capture or anything like that.
Which I think is crazy too, because we have to imagine, as you know, as unbelievable as it seems, we have to imagine there are settlers that come here to Texas with such a mixed population already existing here, native, the indigenous, Mexican cold people, and all of that sort of thing, and they've maybe never seen anyone darker than them necessarily.
Yeah.
Or what could be considered covered in hair. A lot of people covered themselves in clay to protect themselves from the sun. There's a lot of even, and hello, they could have even been wearing furs.
Well, yeah, and at the same time, like we see, you have so many people that, I mean, now you would call it living off the grid or something like that, but you see so many people who are just living off the land, and I can imagine even more so way back when. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot that we can do to explain away the existence of Bigfoot, but for the fact that there's so many stories, throughout history in every part of the world that kind of parallel each other in regards to the looks and the actions and kind of the habits and day-to-day things that they see. I just find it hard to believe that there's not something out there.
Yeah, I don't want to discredit Bigfoot whatsoever. Like, I absolutely...
Because he will sue you.
Yeah, he will. I know. He's a seamstress, so I know that. So, all that to say, I don't want to discredit that, but I also think that we have to consider the time and the insensitivity of people and the need to survive, and they are looking for things to hunt, and I think Bigfoot maybe exists and hasn't been caught because we quit looking for things to hunt.
Well, and it's funny, so that kind of circles back to our old friend Rick Dyer, the guy who found the Bigfoot. Supposedly, I don't know if I believe him or not, because that seems such a credible thing for him to be like, yeah, I found him, but the government doesn't want me to tell anybody and made me look like an idiot. So now he has, it's not an active YouTube channel. It hasn't been active, I think, since 2014, but he teamed up with some other people. They call themselves the Bigfoot Trackers. And now I guess because he got so much backlash from the idea that he said that he shot and killed, his new approach is that he wants to capture Bigfoot alive to prove to the world that they're true. TeamTrackerBigfoot.com is the website that you can go to. And like I said, it's not active. It's just like pretty much a blurry picture of something, which I would assume
of like a
goblin. It looks like a goblin more than a Bigfoot, yeah. And there's phone numbers, but no active links.
It's we're out here. We're looking.
It's really just kind of pictures of his trucks that say Bigfoot Tracker Project Ozark, and some pictures of, I guess, promotional videos.
I mean, and I
not in my forest, you don't. Is their slogan.
So listen.
Oh, hey, look, you got Tom Green involved.
Of course he did. Of course.
Like, how is anyone supposed to take you seriously if you got Tom Green involved?
Listen, maybe he never wanted to be taken seriously, and he's discrediting real Bigfoot trackers across the world. Because I do feel like eventually one day, like every other wild creature, we're going to brush him out. We're going to smoke him out because he's going to run out of places to live and hide.
Now you're accusing Bigfoot of partaking in marijuana.
No, I'm not. I mean, I would if I were him. I mean, everyone's going after you. The government's
Leave me alone.
To bring you down. Like, there's no more people to steal bread from.
Mm-hmm.
So
he just wanted half.
Yeah, he just wanted half a loaf. But but no, I don't want to discredit anyone that's out there that's really looking for Bigfoot, because I support you, and I feel like I want to go to the convention this year.
The thing that I have found is, because I really did want to try to get a hold of some Bigfoot hunters that do this as kind of a pastime and take it seriously. But the issue with that is, if you look at these videos on YouTube, they are all exactly, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to malign anyone, but they look like slack-jawed yokels.
I mean, what?
I don't know how much nicer I can say that.
But listen, I think they're the ones.
They look like the type of people that would want to hunt and kill Bigfoot.
But listen, who else would be bothered by him? Like, I'm not living on the land. Bigfoot isn't stealing my half a loaf.
But where are the scientists that are coming out there with PhD degrees and using infrared camera? Well, actually, they do use infrared cameras, but with all our technology, why haven't they caught him yet?
It's the same reason we still can't find ships at the bottom of a sea.
I'm just saying, for someone to say, I think, to eloquently say,
I don't know what your opinion is about Bigfoot now.
No, I'm saying that I think the people that hunt Bigfoot do not lend a lot of credibility to the idea that there are good Bigfoot hunters and know what they're doing, because they
don't know what they're doing.
They say things like, no, because they say things like, there's a squatch in them woods, and they get TV shows. And why don't I have a TV show and I could say,
I believe there's a squatch in them woods. Like, come on.
But you could say something like, I believe there's a Bigfoot amongst us.
A Bigfoot afoot.
A Bigfoot afoot. Blah, 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 blah.
No, I'm just saying, I agree with that 3,000,000%, but I don't think anyone's really a good Bigfoot hunter, because we don't know enough about his ways or their society, how they, we can find apes and whatnot because we know how they're structured. We know, like, they do this in the winter and they do this in the summer and they eat these sorts of things. We don't know anything.
We know they eat half loaves of bread.
And they can sew. That's about all I know.
Well, all right. I think it's time to wrap it up. So what's your final opinion? Bigfoot, hot or not?
He's hot. Just ask S.A. Living.
I wonder what kind of scarf he wears in the summer.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Well,
it's just sad that he hasn't gotten more credible research done on him, because I think it'll be fascinating. And y'all heard it here first. We believes.
We believe, we want to believe.
I mean, we know.
We believe there's a Bigfoot afoot.
We do.
All right, April. Well, thank you so much for your time and joining us today on our Prairie Normal Investigation.
I've been joining you every day.
I know. Every day. Leave me alone.
But listen, I just can't quit talking about them and to the ghosties and everything. Like, I can't.
Just find a friend, April. Find a friend. Okay, well, join us next time. I think we're going to be probably discussing some sort of creepy crime. What do you think, April?
A creepy crime? I've never heard of those here. I thought we should delve into the crime that happened at Midget Mansion.
Oh, you can't say that word. Can we say it for the part? Yeah, we'll say it.
Well, we have to keep it true to the time.
That's true.
That is what it's called.
All right.
We're not insensitive oafs. That is what happened. Are we not? We're not.
Well, we can be.
No, I'm not. It's just called Midget Mansion, and you'll see why.
All right. Well,
No offense to anyone.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time, and we can't wait to see you here next time on Texas Prairie Normal Investigation.
Live, laugh, lurk.